All right. Now it says that I'm live. But I still don't know if I am. All right. Now it says that I'm live. Okay. Apparently I am live now. All right. Okay, Erwin, can you hear me? Can you see me now? Give me a little message there letting me know. I tried to stream in a different manner, so I don't know if it's working correctly or not. I do see the stream now. Let me test something else here really quick. What I'm doing is seeing it if it's coming through my encoder. Looks like it is. Okay, now I see people up there. Now I'm seeing them. All right, let's see if I can. Okay. Now people are reacting. I think I'm out there. I think it's happening. I've got Erwin. Yes, and Erwin, you're moving in. It ain't done yet. Hey, Jackie, Tanner, Meredith, and Charlie M. Sold the house yet? No. Getting closer to that, though. Today we're going to talk about my cameras. I had some requests for that, and so I figured I would just go through the history of my cameras. I have, for all my video cameras, I still have all the video cameras that I've ever bought, including my ancient tape recording one. Yeah, Erwin, I would love to put Granite in there, but we did not. That's a lot of money. So, but we did put brand new countertops in there. If anybody has seen my videos in the past where we redid the counters, that process, I can't remember what it was called. It was a kit that you bought and it had all the stuff in it. But it doesn't work as good as what they say. And we ended up, after it was done, it would wear in spots and stuff like that, and it just wasn't good. So we completely replaced the cabinets, Formica top, but it's a nice black charcoal gray kind of Formica with a little texture, and it looks good with the theme of the kitchen. So, but we're getting closer to getting it done. I'm working on the front yard now, getting it ready so it has that curb appeal. And so when people drive up, they go, "Ooh, I want to buy it," and then they give me the money that I want, and then I can leave and start everything anew in a new place and get back out to the bug out land and really get that thing finished up, so Erwin can move in. All right, and Dan's Urban Survival, how you doing? Okay, let's get talking about. Let me do one more thing here so that I can pay attention to comments. Okay, I think that's going to work. All right. I started basically vlogging before YouTube was even a gleam in its father's eyes. I had bought back in 95, 96, I had bought one of those tape-fed cameras, camcorder, and just without realizing what I was doing, just because I wanted to capture family stuff and events and so on and so forth, I just started recording stuff and saving it all. So let me give you a little preview of what it was like to vlog back in 1996. And this is my daughter and my wife. And it's not going to play. Or is it playing? No, it is not. Hopefully it's renewing. There we go. It's trying to do something. There we go. All right. Okay. Perfect. There she is making her first steps and Mom is trying to help her. This was recorded in 640 by 480. Boom. There's Dad behind the camera.
Look at me.
Too close.
Boom. Okay, so that was where I started. And it's all started with this bad boy right here. And this is the Panasonic PalmSight PVL657. Now this one is actually not the original one that I bought, and I'll explain. I went down and bought this camera and started recording with it a couple months later. And I happened to be, when I bought it, they said, do you want to get the extra insurance on it? And it was whenever the department stores and stuff were starting to come up with this extra insurance. So I thought, okay, sure. And it was $10 or something like that. Yeah, you're right, Aaron. It's about 1996. It was an old tube monitor. Probably a couple months after recording, I got to hearing on the recordings a little and I thought maybe it was just a tape, but I put in a new tape and it so I took it back to Sears. Now this camera came, the first one I bought did not have the flip out screen. Okay, it just had the viewfinder. It came with 2 batteries and a charger. So I went back to the store and I just took the camera. I left the batteries and a charger at home, and I just thought I was going to take it in, hand it to them, and they would fix it and hand it back to me, or at least tell me when it was fixed and come back and get it. So I handed it to them, showed them the receipt. They saw that I had the insurance. They said, "Oh, well, we'll just go ahead and replace it." So they handed me the same model in the full box, unopened back. I took it home. I had 2 more batteries, another charger, and it had this little screen, and it was nice. This thing still works, by the way. But anyway, and it takes the tapes. If I can try to remember how that comes out. Yeah. Oh, I got to have the battery in it so it'll open. But it just pops out and the tape slides in there. All right. But that was a camera I had in, I think it was 2011 when I started this channel. Let me see if I can find something here. And I started recording my channel on that camera. And this is some of the footage that I got out of some of my very first videos. And of course it's I had it open. There we go. So I had to think about where I wanted to start. Happy Monday, Doug. But you think about it, I had one camera, so I would walk out of the garage, put the wheelbarrow down, go back, bring the camera out, set it there, to take the wheelbarrow back in the garage, and then walk out with the wheelbarrow. Same thing with this shot.
What you needed to do was put up some stringers like
So,
a pad, level it out.
But you can see this was only 640 by 480 standard definition, and so it wasn't all that great quality. But by the time YouTube was coming about and getting started, they were starting to come out I mean, there was a lot of stuff that was like this on YouTube, this kind of quality, but you were starting to see a lot of the newer cameras coming out at the time with better definition. I don't know if it would be high definition, but maybe. And so I got thinking, man, I'm looking back at my videos thinking, man, I really want a better quality. And so I kind of started looking around and of course, going to YouTube and watching the reviews, camera reviews. And I'm not the type of person that could look at these cameras and start telling you all the technical stuff about them. And my mind just doesn't go there. I can sit down and program a computer, but as far as all the technicalities of the cameras and stuff like that, I don't know. I just trust in what somebody tells me, basically. But I decided it was time to find something else, so I started looking around. Pretty soon it came up. I found this guy. This was my little Canon Vixia HF-R20. And a little camcorder. Got the little screen on it. Still works. Much better quality. It also did 720. Yeah, I don't think it does 1080. I have to look. It might do it, but it's low quality 1080 if it is. But I did get 720 out. I didn't realize that I could get 720 out of it right away. And so the first couple of videos I made with it were at like 960, some weird number. So they were a little bit bigger than the 640, but still smaller than the 720. And once I realized what I was doing, I started doing them in the 720. But because for me to take the lower ones, and 960 would be the width, because 720 is actually 1280 would be the width of a 720 by 1280. So the 960 was a little bit smaller than the 1280. And if I wanted to get them up there, of course, it would stretch that video out and make it kind of blurry again. But I only did a few videos with that until I discovered it. It still works great. I still use it from time to time. And one of the reasons that I like to use this camera along with the newer ones is because I can set up several cameras and get, several different, views for the scene and then hack them together. So that was my big time use for a long time was this camera. Well, I decided I wanted, before I got the other ones, and I was just using that one, I decided I wanted another one so I could do different angles. And I happened to run across this little Kodak PlaySport in I think it was Walmart. It was like $100 or something. So I picked it up. Now it does, Buckeye Brian, you have the same camera. It does 1080. Okay. Yeah, it probably does. I don't think it does a very good quality of the 1080 when you start going into 1080i, 1080p. I don't know if it does. I think it does like 24 frames or something like that. Maybe more. You may know. I don't know off the top of my head. Anyway, so this one was kind of cool. I could set it on a tripod or something like that and, get another angle so I'm shooting two cameras and I could hack them together. This one would actually go underwater. I did at one time, we were out on the lake and I shove it under the water as we're going along and it still worked just fine. But I never really used it for underwater. And the quality, it didn't seem to want to white balance too well. So the hues would be off but I still used it until I started getting other cameras and getting better quality. And then I used it up until right here where you screwed onto the tripod or something like that, piece of that broke out. You can still screw it on there, but it's not going to be as secure as it would be with the piece that broke out off. But it worked great. I got a lot of footage and a lot of stuff on YouTube that came out of this camera. All right. Now, while I had the Canon and the Kodak, I had seen a review on a Contour camera, which is like a GoPro in a way. It's the same idea, is to be able to strap it to you on your helmet or whatever and go for it. And at the time I was doing a lot of shooting videos, and they showed a way to mount it to your gun. Now that would be really cool, because you could mount it on there and look down the muzzle or look back at you or whatever. So I bought one. Now, this is actually the second one that I bought after that, because the first one died. But it was a really good camera, and you'll see a lot of footage if you go back into my videos with the Contour, where I've mounted it to my hat. Then I've actually made a helmet where I can mount it just like this, so you get really good POV or point of view. So I'm hammering away and sawing away and whatever with this, but I can mount this on the dash, the truck. I'll put it out. You'll see a lot of footage I got like outside of the truck, like down below, and you're watching me go down the road and you're seeing the wheel turn, or maybe way up above the truck or something like that. It's because I can mount it easily to like the buffalo bars down below, or to the ladder racks and stuff like that. But if you'll notice right here, this rail, you can mount it to a tripod. It's got a regular camera mount, but these rails, they have special mounts that they'll slide on, and I actually like this over the GoPro, because I mean, you can slide it right next to your head, or as a GoPro, it's got it's going to have in the case, the GoPro goes in the case, and then you got your mounts underneath, so it's hanging out there. No matter where you put it, it's kind of hanging out there. But this one's kind of, oops, sorry about that, guys. Oh well, Melissa, thank you very much. That is, let's see, ding, 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 ding. First super chat I have got. Thank you very much, Melissa, for full. Thank you. Any question? I'm answering. All right. Anyway, this thing is really nice because it mounts really close to wherever you put it, and it's really durable. Let's see. Now, just because I like the way it mounts better than GoPro does not mean I don't like the GoPro. And I will show you, because my next camera, of course, was the GoPro. Now, I've got all kinds of mounts for this thing. I've got the waterproof case that it came in. I've got just a frame that goes on and works really well to mount to a tripod or whatever. So I use this for a lot of things, but one thing I found that this thing does really well is time lapse. And I find that I'm using this more and more just for time lapses. And I can set it up on a tripod, put it in, get some cool perspectives of different things, and just, go through the menu a little bit, set up the time lapse, and boom, I get some pretty cool stuff. So I can use my other cameras and tell the story, and then have the time lapse there too. So it's very cool. Very cool. I'm looking forward. I want to get the Hero 5 too. In fact, here in the near future, after we get the house sold and get moved, I'm looking to get a drone. And the new drone that GoPro has put out is one of them that's on my list to look at for possibly getting. All right. That was several years of my creation tools right here that I've just showed you. Now, probably within the last year, I got 2 more cameras, and they're a lot higher quality, a lot more expensive, but I really love them. I have kind of issues with one, and I'll explain it, but let's go with the first one. I'll jump back here. That is the Canon G7X. Now, this one it's lightweight. It's really durable. It's kind of, turn it on and go kind of a thing. Really good footage comes out of this. It's really got good audio. You'll notice I've got the little dead cat on top here. Keep the wind out for a lot of things. But I just really like this camera. The only thing I don't like about it is you have a zoom, and you can, I think it's 24 is where it starts, and then you can zoom in, right? So you can get tighter on it. But you can't come out. I keep hitting that thing. I hope I'm not banging you guys' eyes. Oh, all right, Jackie. Another one. Thank you very much. We're setting records tonight. I'll do the same. Keep up the fun, informative videos. I try, and I'm working on it, and I'm trying to up my game on a daily basis. How long until I move, Liam? I've probably got another month to finish stuff up here, and then we're going to go to market. So however long it takes to sell, and things are kind of moving fast right now, and the value around me has gone way up, and so I'm looking at the equity that I figure I have in this house is, well, let's just put it this way. I think I owe about $100,000 on it, and I think I can get a little over 200 for it. So that's going to be nice because we can get moved and get a place and have not have to have a big mortgage again. Okay, back to this. And so it's 24 millimeter is where it starts, and you can zoom in, so you can make the picture tighter. But I do like a wide picture too, so you can get a lot of the scene in, and it has some cool effects that way that you can do with it as well. Hey, Ethical, how you doing? Well, thanks. You make great videos too. Very informative. Ethical Preparedness. If you haven't seen his channel, go check him out. Oh yeah, Arkansas Preppers. Same dead cat or mouse? Well, it is kind of small. Maybe it is a dead mouse. But yeah, go check out Ethical Preparedness. Lots of information, and he'll train you up right. Okay, so the drawback is you can go to 24 and you can't go out. All right, but great quality in this thing. I've loved it since I got it. All right, so here comes the beast. My DSLR Nikon D5200. Now this is, of course, is not the big boy, but it's not a little boy either, if you know what I mean. They have little DSLRs, little cheapy things, but this one makes for a great vlogging camera, great content creation. What I have on here right now for my lens is a 10 to 24. So we have the 24 millimeter, like I said we got on there, but when I take it to 10, it opens it up and it gets a really good scene. It shows a really good picture. I really do like the quality of this. I can do 1080p. I think 60 frames, maybe more, but I think 60 I could be for sure on. Like I said, I don't memorize all the technical stuff about these. It's just I want them to work. I want to be able to turn them on, get the story, so to speak. Hey Hunter, no problem, buddy. I'm glad to see that you at least made it. What else? And this is a Tascam dual stereo microphone. It does a really good job. Now I did have a Rode on there, but the Rode started making noise. It started, you would be talking and then you could hear it in the back. So I pulled it off there. I don't want to do that to my audio. So far, the Tascam is working great. What else? It's got a lot of bells and whistles on it. Basically, I set it to manual and then set up my ISO, and then I can run my what do they call it? I can, change the light in it manually as I'm on the run. And so I love this thing. I get really good shots. I've also got the 18 to 55 millimeter lens that came with it. And then I bought a little 35 millimeter lens that gets some really cool pictures. And you can get some good, cool video shots out of it too. But you don't want to, with a 35 millimeter, you don't want to overuse it on video. Because like when I'm doing close-ups on a saw or something like that, that 35 millimeter makes really, because it gets a nice bokeh, which is, you can focus on your subject, and then the bokeh or bokeh, however they pronounce it, is the blurred background, and it gives a real nice depth perception look to it. The drawback that I have with this thing is, like the Canon G7X, it's got a real quick autofocus, so wherever I move it or whatever I do with it, it'll focus, and I don't got to worry about it. This has autofocus, but it's slow and it's noisy. And so sometimes you'll see video where I'm talking, and as I'm moving around, it's focusing, so it's going, you see it coming in and out. And if I try to, I can also set it manually, but when I do that, I've got to be close enough to the camera to be able to reach up and set that focus. And then I got to throw the glasses on so I can see if it's in focus. But I can't, I'm a one-man show. So sometimes I'll take a tripod, stand it up, put my hat on top of it, and put it at the distance I want, and then focus on that hat. And then I'll move the tripod and do my talking from there or whatever. But that's the only drawback to this is the focus for a one-man show, and for a guy that when I get close to things I need to throw on the glasses. And so I can't always determine what the focus is at different distances. Now I can, like if I'm going to get a faraway shot, and like let's say I'm out at the bug out land and I'm getting a shot of me walking into the shed underneath the treehouse. I can set that thing up, look down, and get it all focused on it, lock it in, and then it's great. So it works really good for a lot of that kind of stuff too. But when I was looking at this, or looking to find a camera like this, I'd always wanted a DSLR because I'd heard so many good things about them. And then I'd seen a thing. In fact, the first time I heard about Casey Neistat was I was searching this, and I saw this thing about his setup, and of course he was running the Canon at the time, and so I started searching out that, and I ran across a video from, and I can't remember who it was, but the guy does photography stuff, but he was actually doing a Canon T5i versus the D52. And they really ran in his, and I mean, he did a long analysis, and he didn't have any, he wasn't, what's the word? He didn't prefer one over the other one when he started it. He wanted to find the truth. So what he did was, did this long out comparison, and he did like speed pictures, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for sports shooting, video quality, so on and so forth. Now, on a lot of things that I thought fit with the way I do things, with the way I work, the Nikon actually won out. The Canon had some other things, especially if you're going to go into like professional photography and stuff like that. There were some things with the lenses and stuff that weren't features that really work well here. The other drawback to this from the Canon was you've got your screen and you do all your work on your screen, but it's not a touch screen, so you have to go through the buttons, whereas the Canon, it was touch screen. But I like this thing. It gets some cool shots, but there is that issue for focus for me. So you'll see a lot of my videos where I'm going. It kind of drives me nuts when I look back at it. So I try to lock that in before I start the shoot. Now, this is my big boy of my set so far through the history of my video cameras. I have my eye on another one, and it's a Sony AX53, and it's kind of one of these, which is a camcorder, but it's more, it's not pro level, but it's more, it's $1,000 camera, so there's it's a lot more of a professional camera than, say, this. And I think it's going to give me the ability to run a gun, so to speak, with more of the ability than I have with the Nikon. That's another thing that after I get the house sold and get moved on, I think I'm going to try to pick that up, because I don't intend to stop doing this soon. I'm going to be making videos and doing this kind of stuff for quite a while, and I enjoy doing it, and I get positive feedback, and so I guess that just kind of stokes my ego, and I keep going. Anyway, let's see if we got any questions about any of that stuff, or how do I go about doing my editing or whatever. Any questions you might have, just send them my way. Ethical, where's the collab video? I've been meaning to call you because I want to talk to you about that. So every time I think, I'm going to call him tonight, then I get involved in something and I forget. So please forgive me, but I will get to you so that we can get that taken care of. I know you probably want to get that out of there. What did you say? I got to give grief about it. Yep, you got to give me grief. Let's see. What did that rig and accessories cost you? Which one, Doug? Are you talking about the Nikon? I'll give you a second to. Well, let's just say the Nikon. Oh man, I can't remember. The Nikon was probably close to $5, a little over $5 maybe. The 35 millimeter lens was $196, but that was a used one from eBay. The 24 to 10 or 10 to 24 millimeter, which is my favorite one, was $400 or $500. So it's an expensive rig, but it's well worth it because I get a lot of good stuff from it. Let's see. Hey, Weekend Homestead. What do I use to, Buckeye Brian, what do I use to edit? I use Premiere Pro. I of course work in computers, programming, graphic arts development, web development, stuff like that. So I'm big into the Adobe suites, and so I use Adobe Premiere Pro. I've used After Effects a little bit, not a whole lot, but I did start on a Mac Pro, which my daughter has now, and this was back in 2010, 2011. No, actually 2009. And it had the iMovie on it, and that's where I first got into actually editing video. I had tons of I shot on this particular camera. Obviously, I shot a bunch of video, and then I backed it all up onto VHS tapes. And so I wanted to back those into digital. And so I found the equipment to do it, and I could hook it into the Mac, I could start that thing playing, and digitize all that video. And so that's where I started learning how to edit video on iMovie. But I've since then started building my own computers, and I've got, like, the one that I'm working on right now is my big one. It's all set to big time gamer specs, and I can edit on this like crazy. But I've got, I don't know if you can see right there behind me, that microphone standing up. There's a computer behind it, which also I can do stuff on. And then the monitor you see over there is also set up for like gaming specs. And so I've weaned myself off the Macs. It's less expensive to do it this way, and it's just as good, if not better, because I can build them, whereas with the Macs you really can't touch them. You got to take them to the shop. So I've moved it all over to Premiere Pro, and that's what I use. Let's see here. Okay, thanks, Ethical. I appreciate the forgiveness, but like I said, I got to get to you, and because I got some questions so that we can get this thing rolling. That $1,000 camera, can you say it again but slower so I can write it down? Really need a new and better camera. Okay, are you speaking about the one I showed you or the one that I'm looking to buy? Because the one I showed you was a Nikon D5200. And I believe that model is now at 5600, or I think I've seen one for 5600, which is the D series. And then the AX53, which was from Sony, which is the camcorder, that one, yeah, that was $1,000 camera, and it's a camcorder like I showed. It's, you know, this thing on steroids, basically. Let's see. As with anyone, I'm trying to work on a budget. Thanks for the info. You're welcome, Doug. On the T6i and T7i, I think they're probably a better rig than what I got. Oh, well, thanks, Ethical. Appreciated very much. Thanks for that. The T6i, the T7i, yeah, they're great rigs too. But since that's where I went with the Nikon, that's probably where I'm going to stay, just because the costs for lenses, and I don't know if it's, I know there's adapters, but I understand it's really not worth it to try to, they don't work as well, and I don't know if the adapters will bring a Canon lens to a Nikon body. So since I put all that money into Nikon, that's just where I'm going to stay, because I've got the glass, and if I get another DSLR, it'll be a Nikon. But yeah, I think believe me, I've sat and looked at those T6s and T7s and just thought, man, if I hadn't have done the Nikon, that's probably where I would go. But I'm not unhappy with the Nikon. I think it's a great rig. Okay. But yeah, Buckeye, you're a support engineer. Yeah. I have 3 degrees, all having to do with computer graphics, design, programming, project management. That was my master's. And I use those things on my regular job, but the stuff you see me doing in my videos is the stuff that I really love doing. So it's good that I can make a fairly decent amount of money. I'm not hurting for anything. But and be able to do these things. I guess that's the good thing. But I don't know, Buckeye, do you sometimes just get like a headache from staring at screens and trying to figure things out? I know I do. You're looking to buy Ethical, yeah. I understand that you're looking for. I don't even know, what are you using right now, Ethical? What kind of camera setup you got right now? How long does it take you to make your average video? How long time-wise? Okay, good question. Well, let's just take a typical day out at the land. All right. One day I'll go out there on a weekend, spend 2 days, and shoot video. Now remember, I have all these cameras at my disposal. So I'll have 2, 3, 4 running at one time. Okay. And of course, I'm working a full day. When I get out there, man, I almost forget to stop and eat lunch just because I'm so hyped up on what I'm doing. I want to get it done. I'm setting up cameras. I'm, just everything. So you're looking at 8, 10, 12 hours of work, and then times that by 2, 3, 4 cameras. So I've got all that video. So you see all that time just to shoot the video. Now, when I sit down, I may not use a whole day of video to make a video, but I'm sorting through that, 10 hours times 4 to edit and chop things together. And then a lot of times for the topic within the video, I even spend time writing a script sometimes. Sometimes I come off the top of my head. But I'll write a script and sit in front of the camera or just set up and record it, just audio or something. So by the time it's all said and done, I can have, 20 hours into a video. Some videos I can pop off the top of my head in an hour or so. But it just depends on what the topic is and how involved with the story that I've done. So yeah, it just depends, and it takes a long time. I keep hitting this. I hope I'm not popping you guys in the ear. Let's see. Thanks for the feedback. Okay, no, just dealing with users. Yeah, you're probably dealing with guys like me, right? What do you mean restart it? I've talked to people before that, like, I got a problem. Say for instance, I do a lot of stuff that I do for the company that I'm working for, and I do it in Adobe Animate, and I write in what they call ActionScript 3.0 object-oriented programming language. I've been doing this for years. Okay, so it's hard to throw something at me that I can't figure out. But when something does come up that just I cannot figure out, I will get on. Since I have the lease or whatever it's called, subscription based for all this software and everything, I will call them. And sometimes they'll start telling me, well, maybe you need to restart it. It's like, no, I know I don't need to restart it. And they'll say, well, maybe it's your security software. And I'm like, I've had the security software in place for a year now. So sometimes I will get irate at the guy that, like you, that's trying to help me, which I know I shouldn't. And I don't get irate, but it's like, no, I already know what I'm doing, so now try to tell me something that I don't know. But anyway. See, ethical, you use cheap Samsung to make your videos. That's why the audio is always so horrible. I've never thought your audio is horrible. When audio is bad now I've done bad audio where, like I was talking about the Rode mic, or sort of I didn't have a way to overcome that. I only did one video with it because I caught it. But as long as we can understand what you're saying, especially when you're just starting out, as long as we can understand what you're saying and it's not a bunch of static in there. The worst thing I think in a video is the wind noise, and sometimes it's hard to not have that, especially with the smaller run and gun cameras. Man, if it's windy out there, it just kills it. Let's see, Doug, how do you deal with the elements such as keeping your batteries warm and your cameras dry? Oh, I have. If you guys don't mind me standing up and moving for a second, I will go show you what I do. I will be right back. All right. This is just a regular DeWalt toolbox. It has two parts to it. A lot of my equipment I'll throw in the bottom here, and the stuff that can be kind of roughed. But the top part I fashioned into carrying lots of batteries, GoPros, contours, a lot of different stuff in here. And I've got all the foam in there, which keeps it out of the elements when I'm not messing with it, when I'm not doing something. So I'm out at the land, and I'll carry all this stuff down, and I'll keep stuff inside the case. Plus, I've usually got a tarp or something over where I store it. But for the other cameras, they each have their separate bags that I keep them in. If it starts raining, I'll bring stuff in and usually stop recording if it's outside. And I have thought several times about trying to get little umbrellas for the tripods or something like that. Just haven't done that yet. As far as cold, so far I haven't had a problem. The only one that I've had a problem with is the G7X. And basically I know if it's cold because you'll push record and it'll say there's an error on the card, the little SIM card that you put in there. And if that's the case, I'll usually just pop the card out and stick it back in, and it's good to go. I have at the land, on the treehouse. On the treehouse, I have all the solar, and I can charge the batteries there all day long. So when I'm recording and I see, okay, the battery's low in this one, I'll pop it out, run it up, put it in the treehouse to charge, come down and put in a new battery and go. I've got 3 batteries for the Nikon. I've got 3 for the Canon GX7. The GoPro has 4 batteries. The Contour, the drawback to that is it doesn't have one that you take out. You just got to plug it in and charge it back up. So when the battery goes down, you can't use it till you get it recharged. Let's see. And for the temperature of the batteries, if they're in the camera, you can't really do much about that, but I'll keep them in their bags so it helps keep them at the right temperature so that you can use them when you pull them out. Buckeye Run. I actually had someone ask me where the any key was. Okay. I'd like to know what your answer was. Ethical preparedness. Do you have any videos that you have done, videos that you thought were really important for preppers, that found that the videos didn't have a high watch count because it didn't deal with guns and gear? Well, yeah. I think people, especially when they first start doing prepping, their minds go to guns, ammo, food storage to them is, and these are just people that are starting out and don't know all the nuances and things that you can do. And so their food storage is, Wise Foods, buckets of freeze-dried stuff or whatever. And I did a lot of stuff about guns early on, and I got a lot of reaction from those, a lot of subs. And then when I kind of went away from the gun stuff and really focused more on, the food storage, the, different things like that. And then, and I even have morphed more into more just a vlog style of my life as a prepper. and because everybody out there, all the prepper channels are doing prepping stuff, and they're talking about, what happens if shit hits the fan, what could cause shit hitting the fan, different things, or if you're in a apocalyptic situation, how are people going to react to different things. And so I felt like if I was to go over those types of topics too much, I would just be beating the same horse that they are. So I'm trying to bring it into more of a reality of, okay, I'm a prepper and I understand all those things, but we still have a life, and it's not hard to prepare and still live your normal life. And so I like to be able to show the stuff that I'm doing for prepping, but also show that it's not interfering with my life. It's not, people don't go, oh, you're wearing a tinfoil hat or whatever. And so that's the route I'm kind of taking. But yeah, you're right. I think whenever you do stuff, especially if they come to you first because of the guns or the training, if you veer from that a little bit, things may drop. I don't know. If you're, if they like your personality, they're going to watch you no matter what you say, right? So that's the best I can tell you on that. Let's see. Weekend Homestead takes about an hour, a minute of video edited. Yeah, that's true, because a lot of times you've got 3-second spot there, and you're trying to get it just right, and you may go 20 minutes moving things around and slicing it right and getting the right sound in there. So sometimes I've had videos where it's taken me 2 days just to edit them, and I've had other ones that were edited really cool, but I did them within a couple of hours. So I don't know if that's just because I'm getting quicker at it or what. Maybe could be some days too that I'm editing and man, I just got to get up and walk away from it. So then, that takes time away from actually doing the editing. Let's see. Good question, EP. Yeah, if you want to get into this area in response to YouTube changing its algorithms. Good question. I have not yet been affected by that. And I have some videos out there that I would think would get flagged because of the content or the title. But I haven't changed the titles or anything. I'm just waiting to see what happens. But so far, and I don't know if they're focusing on the bigger channels that have that content or what. Their algorithm is doing weird things, and you can't tell me it's just because they're not advertiser friendly. I mean, that is the term they're using to determine whatever they want to. And, their description that they have down there about talking about dramatic or violent events or, just news things, even if you don't show imagery or other, could be considered. All right, Marlene, thank you very much. Everybody see the $20 from Marlene? That's my sweet, beautiful wife. Just so you know, Marlene, I had 2 $10 super chats tonight, which is the ding, 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 ring the bell. It's the first time it's happened for me, so I appreciate it very much. Anyway, where was I? Oh, I think that their description of what is not advertiser friendly is written in a way so that they can just decide, they can come to any video and say, well, this fits into the description. And so then that way they can just claim if they don't like you or, who knows what their ulterior motive is. But they've set it up so that it can work in their favor. So what I do, I'm still doing what I'm doing, but so far it has not affected me. Hopefully it won't. Doug, what about, let's see, if you want to get into this area, Jackie, like I said, just start and see what happens. Just do the stuff and see what happens. There's also the VidMe platform. Check it out. VidMe, vid.me. I think it's going to be YouTube's rival. So check it out. What about while you are filming, Doug? Meaning, what about while you're filming? I'm not sure what the question is. So if you can clarify. Thanks for not making me finish typing out that paragraph regarding the real elements of prepping. That answers the question. Thanks. Haven't done any filming yet, but I hear. Okay. Now I'm getting it. All right. Using the wool sock to store the batteries and will make them last longer, which makes sense to me. I've never heard that, but that might be a good idea. Okay, ethical preparedness. What's your thoughts without mentioning any channel name on YouTube preppers? Who are using fear to drive more video views? Is it just me, or is there more of this happening? Well, I don't think you're using fear as far as your stuff. I think what you're doing is, especially your background, you probably have better understanding of what's possible than most of us. And so you're coming from a truthful area. You're not holding back. I mean, you're telling people what's there, what's possible, and then how to deal with it. I think there's a lot of prepper channels that may be trying to dramatize things to get people to watch, but not offer much of a not offer any training on how to deal with those situations. Whereas you'll set up a situation, then you'll show us how to deal with it. And that's why I like your videos, the way that you do things. Let's see. Doug, she's setting you up for 15. Probably. No, it's the bully making sure we know who's boss. I don't understand why we as humans can't enjoy what our other humans create and enjoy. Yeah, back to that. I think that a lot of people turn to YouTube for information, and the mainstream dinosaurs are dying away. They're not liking it, and so while they still have the money and the power, they're making moves to put a stop to that. And part of that is demonetizing the bigger channels and trying to take away their revenue stream so that they can't continue. The best way that we can battle that is, as long as they let us put the videos up anyway, keep doing it, keep getting the message out there. Meredith, there are tons of that going on. Okay, well, Prepper's logic accepted my FR. Yep. Okay, so Doug, what about while you are filming, about the cameras while you're filming? Okay, so I think that goes back to the batteries and stuff like that. I don't do anything. Like I said, if it turns on, if I'm in snow and the camera turns on, I'm going to record. If it's raining on me, I'm less likely to put the camera out to get wet. That's my main concern. But at this point, I don't have much control over the elements while I am filming, as far as what to do with the batteries. The biggest concern that I have, not so much the batteries, is the cards, because if you get any condensation, that could be bad on the contacts in the cards. And if I think that's happening, I'll just stop. Because at this point, you can't afford to be replacing your cameras or your car. I mean, you could replace your cards, but you'd rather not, right? Or you don't want to lose the footage that's already on there. 3D just got off work. Hey, 3D Tripper. Glad you could stop by. I can think of three. I understand what you're asking. Yeah, I didn't name anybody ethical preparedness, but I there's some at the top of my head. Okay, sorry, Doug. Yeah, I've already addressed that. All right, well, those were my cameras, and those were the history of them. And like I said before, I had, in fact, we'll show you again. I had been a vlogger long before vlogging was the thing to do. Let's see, we'll get this to reset, and you can see my beautiful wife, and my daughter at the time was very, very young. Are you watching, Marlene?
She wasn't paying attention. So look at that. So to be balanced.
All right. Well, that was kind of how I started out, because I got a camera and really liked recording things and making a record of my life. Okay, let's see here. 3D Tripper, we had 3 tornadoes go through here Saturday night. Ooh. 5,100 without electricity. Wow, quite an eye-opener. Lots of people are waking up on how prepared they are not. Yeah, sometimes it takes the actual emergency before they realize they got a problem or could have a problem. We are susceptible to tornadoes around here as well. So far, this area here hasn't been hit since I've been here, but we've been hit around us. And so hopefully, I'm fixing to move, so it could be different where I'm at, or where I go, but we've been kind of lucky here. I did have they have also what they call high winds, strong winds, something like that. We had one of those go through the backyard. In fact, probably around 2011 when I started this thing, and I had on my deck back there, I had a canopy, a little go out and picnic canopy kind of thing. It was really nice looking, and it was all metal frame and stuff with the canvas covering, and it was actually bolted into the concrete. And me and my wife were standing by the back door there one night when those winds were coming, and all of a sudden we heard this racket and look, and you could see that thing just sliding past the glass. Luckily it didn't come through the glass, but a high wind had come and just ripped that thing out of some of it. It ripped out the bolts out of the concrete, and what it didn't rip out, it just laid it over. So that was quite a mess. Marlon, yep, very cute. Thanks to you, I had nothing to do with that cuteness. Okay, guys, that was it. I think I'm going to get out of here now. And for the super chatters, thank you so much. Very much appreciated. And if you have any suggestions for the next live, send them to me in an email or comment in the bottom of this after this video goes up onto the channel. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much, and I will talk to you guys later.